Please keep in mind that I've had like 2 beers and a glass of wine, and I'm just feeling good. Hi friends, and welcome back to my channel. It's Friday evening. I had like a after work with my colleagues, so I've had a couple of beers and stuff, but either way, I'm here. And I thought I would film, I guess it's called the Intimidating Books TBR, something like that. Basically, I recently got a thing for things make this video tag, and I wanted to do it as well. So I googled it and I clicked on the first link that popped up, which was to a blog, and I took the questions from there. So I don't know who came up with this tag. I know it's a few years old. Basically, today we will be talking about the books I find intimidating on my TBR. I wouldn't say that I actually find these books that intimidating. I feel like the questions could be answered without considering intimidating books, but we're just gonna do this and see how it goes, I guess. First question is, a book on your TBR pile that you haven't finished yet. This is a book that you might recognize. War and Peace. Chunky boy. Started it, I think, 2 years ago, maybe. Have read about 78 pages. Pretty impressive, actually. The actual answer for this question is The Ruin of Kings by Yen Leons, the first book in the, what is it called? Something Burning, something Dragon. A Chorus of Dragons series. It's another chunky boy, about 800 pages, 700 pages, 700 pages. And I'm exactly 100 pages in. Started it, I think about a year ago, and haven't finished it. I want to. I think amongst the books I own, this is actually the most intimidating one. It is so chunky and it's pretty dense. I'm still not sure what the book is about. It's incredibly floppy though. Like, it feels like butter. So that's a plus. Apparently I have tabbed something. I do want to complete this, and I do wish to get into this series, but I just need to pick this one up again and give it a proper try, I guess. What is it about? I don't know. Epic fantasy dragons. I think there was like an auction or something. I really do not remember. That's gonna be an issue. The second question is, a book you just haven't had time to read for. You might not have heard about this book, but there's a little book called War and Peace. I did start it a couple of years ago. Haven't really had the time to finish it, you know, since I'm doing so much other reading and stuff. Honestly, like, a book I haven't had time for is The Blade Itself by Joe Abercrombie. It was on my January TBR, it is on my February TBR, so hopefully I will have read it or started it by the time you're seeing this video. I've had it on multiple TBRs. I've read the first couple of chapters. There's always been other books in the way, or readathons or other TBRs messing up like the vibe, so I feel like this is actually a book that I literally haven't had the time for, because I've had to prioritize other books, or I've focused on other books and then the time has run out for like the window I had to read this, and then I read other stuff. By the time you're seeing this video, I will have started this book at least. Fingers crossed. Am I supposed to be talking about the books? I don't know. Let's just continue. A book you haven't read because it's a sequel. Obviously, I can't joke around with War and Peace on this one, so let's skip that. A sequel that I am incredibly excited for, but just for some reason haven't gone into yet, is The Fires of Vengeance by Evan Winter. Is the sequel to The Rage of Dragons. This series is called The Burning. I really enjoyed The Rage of Dragons. I read it last year in 2022. Really appreciated it. Thought it was great. Another epic adult fantasy. I feel like most books here are gonna be that. I was looking at the chunkers when I picked the answers for this tag, and most of my chunkers are adult epic fantasies. Simple as that. We have dragons, we have a revenge plot, we have soldiers fighting, battle scenes. It's really epic. I am really excited about this one. I'm not intimidated by it at all. I haven't gone into it because it's a sequel, I guess. Question 4. A book you haven't read because it's brand new. Well, it's not necessarily brand new, but no, I'm kidding. If I consider some of my latest hauls, we have my Edinburgh haul that I posted quite recently, but it's a book I bought back in October. And the book I'm most intimidated by from that haul is actually Shaggy Bane by Douglas Stewart. I bought it because it's written by a Scottish author. It's a really popular book. Like, I've seen it around a bunch, and it's about 500 pages, I think. I don't have it with me physically now because I borrowed it to a friend. The thing with this book is that it's a book that gets compared to A Little Life, at least when I've looked at a couple of reviews. And A Little Life is, perhaps as you might know, perhaps you don't, it's not the happiest book. It's quite triggering and sad and
destroying.
Personally, I love that book. I gave A Little Life 5 stars. I think it's so incredible and so awful and will destroy your soul. So when I saw that Shaggy Bane reminded someone of A Little Life, it scared me a bit. I'm not gonna lie, it scared me a bit. So that is why I'm intimidated to pick it up. I think it's about a boy and his relationship to his mother or something like that. From what I gather, it's not a happy book at least. A book by an author you've read previously but didn't really like. Once again, can't really joke about War and Peace because I haven't read anything by Leo Tolstoy. We have House of Earth and Blood by Sarah J. Maas. I don't really have that many books by authors I don't enjoy. And I actually purchased this one before reading A Court of Thorns and Roses and also what's it called? A Mist of Fury? What are the books called? A Court of Rose and Thorns? No, wait. A Court of Thorns and Roses and A Court of Mist and Fury? Are they both called courts? You know which ones I mean. The Sarah J. Maas books, the ACOTAR ones. I read the first and second one in that series, decided to stop it there because I read the first one because I wanted to understand the hype, and I read the second one because I wanted to understand the plot twist and why everyone loved Reese and hated Tamlin. So I read those two. I have no interest in continuing with that series. I really do not have any interest in that. But I remember when this was released a couple of years ago, it was quite hyped. I've heard good things about it. So I actually purchased this one and then it's just been on my shelf since then. It's not that I dislike Sarah J. Maas. I really don't have anything to say about that author. Basically, ACOTAR didn't impress me. The first book was a 2-star. The second book was a 3-star. Amongst the books I have, I guess this is the closest one to answer this question. I am intrigued by it. I think I will enjoy it. I haven't heard the best of things regarding its sequel, but I am determined to read this one at least. It's one of these like big paperbacks. I guess this is my answer. Question 6. A book on your TBR pile that you're just not in the mood to read. I haven't picked this one yet. What am I not in the mood to read currently? What am I not in the mood to read? Let's have a look at my other shelf. Okay, I found a book I'm gonna go with as an answer for this one. I just picked it right now. A book I'm not in the mood to read or am intimidated to read is A River Enchanted. I have 2 reasons. The first one being, I feel like this one would be quite lyrical and I don't always vibe with the lyrical books. I'm not saying that I dislike lyrical books, that is definitely not the case, but depending on how it's written, I'm not certain if it will be up my alley, basically. And of course I won't really know how it's written until I decide to read it. That's one reason. The second one is that multiple of my friends love it. I've seen a lot of love and hype for this in the book community as well. And that scares me. Because what if I don't enjoy it and everyone else enjoys it? I feel like this is one of those books I've been meaning to pick up for a while. I've had it in the back of my mind because I have discussed it with friends and I've seen it being discussed online. But I've never been in the mood to pick it up because I am too intimidated to pick it up. I would love it if I were to love this one. But I have this sort of feeling inside of me that I won't. I want to read it. I will read it, but it scares me. These other books that I've talked about, I am fairly certain I will enjoy or rate quite high. For some reason, I feel like this book could definitely be a true hit or miss. A book on your TBR pile that you haven't read because it's enormous. Do I have one of those? There's this little book called War and Peace that is over 1,300 pages long. If you don't see it, it's quite enormous. My answer for this one is actually To Paradise by Hana Yanagihara. Have you seen the size of this one? As I mentioned, I just mentioned it, I adore A Little Life. I think that one is incredible. I really enjoyed Hana Yanagihara's writing. It captivated me. It didn't bore me, even though that book was over 800 pages long. So, of course, I was very excited about their upcoming release, To Paradise, which was released at the start of 2022, I think. And I bought it, and it's once again in this huge paperback sort of format. And it's also over 700 pages. I haven't picked this one up because it's so big. Not necessarily in like amount of pages, but just like the size of it. Holding it, I feel like, would be quite difficult. It takes place across multiple centuries. So it takes place in like 1893, 1993 and 2093. It spans 3 centuries and 3 different versions of the American experiment Tales of lovers, family, loss and elusive promises of utopia. I feel like this can be incredible. I've heard very mixed things about it though, so I'm not certain. I think the main thing why I put this off is because of this huge paperback thing. Please let me know, who actually enjoys these types of humongous paperbacks? Like, do you read them? Do you prefer them? Why do they make these? I would much rather read this type of paperback or like this one. This one is so much more approachable than this size. Am I the only one that feels like that? Like, look at them. This looks awful. And they are heavy. Am I supposed to lie in bed and read it and drop it on my face? Number 8. A book on your TBR you bought because of the cover. You perhaps know that I'm trying to collect these penguin editions of classics, like the black ones with the orange details and stuff. A book that was definitely a cover buy, and that I even bought in hardback because I thought it would look stunning, and it does. The book is Daughter of the Moon Goddess by Su Lin Tan. This one is stunning. It's beautiful. It's... I haven't read it yet though. 100% a cover buy. I've heard amazing things about it though. Like, I've heard this one being praised so much, both for the writing and the content and all of that, and I am excited about it. I just haven't gotten to it yet, and now because I know everyone loves it so much, it scares me even more. Why are humans that way? Last question is, the book on your TBR you find the most intimidating. So, a book on my TBR that I find really intimidating. I don't really know. I feel like it would be a book that's quite thick, like over 1,000 pages, possibly written during another time. Perhaps the language will be a bit difficult, possibly translated as well. That can be strugglesome at times. Take place in some sort of society that I don't really know much about. Have a bunch of like maps and indexes and like chapter summaries. That could be difficult. But I'm not really certain. A book I used to find intimidating until I started it is Priory of the Orange Tree. This was for a very long time the most intimidating book on my TBR. But I did start it back in November. I read like 40% of it, not halfway, but close to. I will finish it this year. It's just that I read it for like 1 month and then I put it aside and I haven't picked it up again. Now that I've started it, it doesn't feel intimidating in the same way as it used to. Books are only intimidating until you actually start them. The answer now, the current answer for the most intimidating book, and I do think this is 100% reasonable. For me, it's House of Leaves by Mark said Danielewski. If you don't know about this book, lucky you. I hope you never purchased this one. It's a book that's over 650 pages in this really odd format, and the way the story is told is just so strange. Like, the pages look incredibly weird. It's almost like it's like scraps of paper put together, and it's like typewriter sections and blank pages and photos and parts of it that's in like other languages and braille, text that's upside down or on the side or whatever. It just looks weird and exhausting. That's my impression of it, that trying to read this one will be exhausting, it will take me months, and that's why I haven't picked it up. I do really want to. I am very intrigued what this story is. I think the small things I gather about it is that it's about a house that is bigger on the inside than it is on the outside. There's math in it. I believe I left that at uni. I don't want to do math again. It's a bunch of names on an entire page. Like this, with the boxes. How the heck are you supposed to read that? I am excited, I am extremely intrigued. But what the heck is this? Fucking sheet music? I should try and play that, actually. Okay, now, I got it. That's this part. Weird book, it freaks me out. I know this will be exhausting and definitely an effort. People that have completed this one have actually really enjoyed it. So that's promising at least. And that's it for this intimidating TBR tag. I don't know if I made any sense of any of these, but it was fun for me to make at least. And to discuss these books that I am really intrigued by, but just haven't gotten to for various reasons. I'm not necessarily intimidated by most of these. It's just I haven't had the time or the opportunity to pick them up because they are such commitments or they are so hyped. Those are usually the main reasons. Hopefully I can knock one of these out this year. Fingers crossed for that. Please let me know, I'm very curious now, what is your most intimidating book on your TBR? A book that you keep looking at and like, I don't know if I will ever get to you. I don't know if I can. Please share that. I would love to hear about it. Thank you so much for watching this video. I really hope you enjoyed. Please take care and I'll see you on the next one. Goodbye.
You gotta just go for it. Don't think about what comes after all.